It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Thursday, November 16th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have a member testimony, QNA Thursday, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is already Thursday. I am super happy and thankful that we are here today. It's wonderful. It's awesome. I'm just really thankful that we've made it to the end of this week and moving in on this third week of November. I hope you guys enjoyed your Wednesday service last night, and I hope that you guys are ready to have a nice Q&A Thursday today too. If you haven't yet, go ahead and leave a like and comment to build our community, and just really happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. So this week's Sunday message title, we have two of them. The first one is Research God. The second one is One Can't Stand to See Something That Is Not Beautiful Because It Is Unpleasant to Look At. So, it's Thursday, and those of you guys who saw my Instagram, you see that I have a picture up there with Chung-ho, the praise singer. I had a very good time with them last night. We spent about a good 6-7 hours just having fun and talking about old times and stuff like that. The cool thing, like the crazy thing was I posted on Instagram, and everyone's calling me. He's still in Providence? What? He's still, I'm so happy. This is so emotional. Like, the people are like, I understand. People didn't know whether he was still in Providence or not, and because he was so close to KJS, that's why a lot of people are wondering if he's still there. And he doesn't really come to service a lot and stuff like that too. And there's a reason for that also. And I'll talk a little bit more about this too. But it was quite funny getting all these people calling me and like saying, "Oh, he's still alive. I can't believe it. I'm so happy," and stuff like that too. But I also understand because there's just a ton of rumors out there about people who are close to Sunstream. And, for all of us here in the Morning Star Drive, all of us here, the only reason you guys don't hear anything, well, we're in the foreign country, so we don't hear like the rumors about me. I have to tell you about the rumors about me and stuff like that too, right? But it is quite interesting, and it's kind of cool seeing my Instagram burst like with likes and comments when they all see Chung-ho. So that is something that I think that we are all very, very happy about. So, I'm not sure if today's going to be very long. Like, it might be a little bit longer, this first segment, because like sitting down with Chung-ho, we had a lot of reflection time, like a lot of it. And from the group, like me and Chung-ho, and there's a bunch of other guys and girls that were in like that inner group, that inner circle that was close to KJS. And of all those people, only me and Chung-ho are left. Yeah, just the two of us. The rest of them are gone. Like this tight-knit group we had that was always with KJS behind the scenes and stuff like too. And it was an interesting conversation last night because like I'm going to talk about some pretty deep stuff. I'm going to talk about some private things too. I'm going to talk about some of the new revelations like that came out about KJS. Like they're not even, well, it's new, but when there was a sentencing that was done, was it a week? Was it 2 weeks ago? Like she got sentenced to 7 years, stuff like that. What happened is whenever the judges give a sentencing, they write like why they made that decision, right? Kind of like a dissertation kind of thing, right? I made this decision to send her 7 years in jail because of this. And a lot of stuff like came out that most people didn't even know about. And me and Chung-ho were just really just upset and angry how it could turn out like this, like become like this for so long. And we didn't even know what was going on, right? And it's probably even better because us two had no idea what was going on, and we're the two that are left, right, from that entire group. So, yeah, we just had a really good deep dive into the situation, our situation, because, our situation is a bit different where we are closer. We were the ones in the inner circle and stuff like that too. And, we even start off talking about how naive we were. Like, we were really naive. Like, not to notice that something was off. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna, like, when I think about it truly, like, I was thinking to myself is, we all thought she was, 100%, one with Sunstein and stuff like that. And, she was, there was tons of rumors about her before, but Sunstein always defended her and this and that and this and that. And I was just kind of like, but I was like, we were kind of naive. And, we've got to kind of be kind of even apologetic for being that naive. Like, we saw the expensive clothes, right? We saw the expensive bags. We went on, trips together with her. And we had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. Yeah, we were like going, man, all we can say to people is we're sorry. Because, even though we're not the ones that did anything, but still, it's kind of like what you call like the collective sin or what do you call it? The generational or collective sin. Just being part of that group puts us in that, they can't help it. And I was talking to some, we were talking and there's there's so many people that ran really hard for this history that was around her. And now it almost feels like everything that we did during that time became like worthless. But of course it's not. We know it's not. But there's just that feeling. You know what I mean? That feeling. That feeling is, man, what do we do this for? What was the purpose? Why do we even do this in the first place kind of thing? You know what I mean? So when we start to think about this, we started kind of going down the path of all the things we did together. And I'll share some stuff with you that came out in that report. It's a public report too. So some of the things I tell you, it's quite shocking, but you guys will be like, I'm going to be like, oh, this actually comes out in the judge's report. And they talk about all the expensive things and the money that they had, right? So even when I say how naive I am, remember in 2018, when Sunstein was coming out, I was in Canada or America, and I was heading to Korea, right? So as I was heading to Korea, they said, "Hey, can you get me something?" And I was like, "Yeah. What can I get you? Like, what do you need?" They said, "There's a box, right? There's this watch box. It fits like 4 or 6 different watches." And those watches that are perpetual, like they don't need a battery. They don't need to you don't have to wind it up or anything. It's as you're walking, it just winds it up as the watch is moving back and forth as you're walking, right? So it's these perpetual watches. The problem with these watches is at nighttime, you're not moving. So the watch slowly dies, right? Because it keeps running because it's perpetual, right? And the movement of your arm is what kind of winds it up. So they have these boxes that you put the watches in, and it turns the watch like you're walking. So it's constantly working. You know what I mean? So they asked me to get them one of these boxes, and this box was like $7,000, $8,000 US. Right? They're like, oh yeah, if you can get that for us, then we'll pay you back. I was like, sure. So it was just really, really expensive. I took it all the way to Korea, and then they gave me the money for that. I thought, that's a really, really expensive watch box kind of thing, right? What's even crazier, think about this. In 2018, I'm sure none of you guys know this, but I found out is, do you guys know there's a watch brand called Patek Philippe? Very, very expensive. It's on the same level as Rolex, AP, that level, right? And KJS gave a gift to Sunstein was a Patek Philippe watch, and it was $60,000. Now, a lot of people didn't know about this gift that she gave to Sunstein, but for me, this is how naive I was. I was just like, wow, Sunstein deserves that, and one day I want to give Sunstein something that expensive too. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. Just thinking about myself, self-centeredness, right? But I never stopped to think about, wait a second, how the heck can she afford a $60,000 watch? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was mind-blowing. When I think about it now, It's really mind-blowing that I never thought about that, right? And like when we hear the results, like of how much money she was receiving every tour she went, whether it's touring in Korea, people were giving her like tens of thousands of dollars and stuff like that, right? Some people in other countries were just sending her like monthly, sending her money and stuff like that too. And what made us so upset when we're hearing about these things, because he knew about it already because he read that 15-page report about it. I have never read it. So when he was telling me, like, we were both kind of getting angry at the same time, because a lot of us were like poor. Even in my life in Providence, I have never gotten over like 400,000 won per month. I think I got 500 once, right? And 700. No, was it 700? It might have been 500 or 600 US dollars. Like maybe 700,000 won was like the most I ever got. And when I think about that, here are all these people struggling. And then behind the scenes, she's got like tens and thousands upon thousands of dollars constantly coming in, right? And she's like buying the nicest things. She has all these, expensive things, and everyone else around her is struggling, and she doesn't really think twice about it, right? Everyone else is trying to make, when you're running full-time Providence, trying to make ends meet. She was living in luxury, right? So, like we already heard before, she had 9 different properties in her name, in El Jung's name, and her brother's name and stuff. But the one thing I found out, like through those 15-page reports, is how many cars they all had, her and El Jung. They had a bunch of cars, not just one. And, me and Chungo were talking about this one time. We were totally like fooled by it. Like, we kept thinking they were changing cars. They went from the Chrysler to the Kia K9 to an Audi A8. They weren't changing cars. They were just buying more cars, which means they had multiple cars. And one of the interesting things in that 15-page report is one of the gifts KJS gave to El Jung was a Porsche. You know how expensive those are. So it shows like in the evidence that there's a text message, and El Jung posted the picture of the car and says, "Thank you so much for this gift." So she got him a Porsche. So you see that, like, this is pretty shocking for all of you already, right? And we're just kind of like, what? Like, we were told different things. We didn't know that they had multiple cars. We thought they were constantly upgrading. And, when I go into the naivety of what I was thinking is like, she told me that someone bought her a K9, which is like $90,000. And then she switched to an A8. And she said that, she told me and Chung-ho that one of her friends had an A8 but just had a child and it's too small, so they wanted to switch cars, which is, like, think about it, that's like a $150,000, $60,000 car in Korea, and then that's a $90,000 car. Then they just want to switch it for free. And we had no reason to believe that they were lying, but that's how kind of, I guess we were naive, I guess, in that sense. I'm not sure. Yeah. Like if someone just told you that type of story, you'd be like, I don't believe that. But because it was her, we believed everything, right? So, yeah, it's really, really interesting. But there, that final decision, that final page of the trial has 15 pages of all the reasons why they gave her the 7-year sentence. But it's all there. The amount of money, plus the amount of cars, the gifts to each other, all the things that they had, and how they were paying for it. Like this, one of the big things that it points out is that her luxurious lifestyle was, remember El Jung was doing Palm TV, Palm Station. We had the app, and everyone's paying like what, $15 a month or whatever it is, right? So imagine you have like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people doing like $10 a month, $12 a month, right? Do you remember when they kept trying to raise the bill? Like, hey, it's not enough for us to survive. We need $15 a month. But it was KJS and El Jung that were using that as a charge card, using the card from Palm Station. So all those people every month are putting in like $10, $12, and they're using that money. right? So, like for me, is like as shocked as you guys might be. Remember, I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you confirmed things. So this is the 15-page report from the final decision that the judge gave. So it's public knowledge. So yeah, like I can't believe, like in my head, I'm just like, what? Like how bad was this? Right? Like even gifting El Jung a Porsche, like that's crazy. So yeah, you kind of, now that you hear some of this stuff, you kind of get to hear how far and how bad the situation actually was. Right? And for me, when I was talking to Chungo, in the end, we thought to ourselves is, I think she's a sociopath. Right? I think I think she turned into a sociopath. She must be, because she would stand in front of all of us and say that, oh, my conscience is clean, this, and this. And when I was looking at what are the signs of a sociopath, it's exactly, impulsive behavior, attempting to control others with threats or aggression, using intelligence, charm, or charisma to manipulate others, right? Lying for personal gain, right? Not learning from mistakes or punishments, lack of empathy for others. And when I looked at it, I was like, wow, I think she was a full-blown sociopath. To not have a conscience, just constantly doing this. And it was like we were just talking, like it's so scary because we would follow her around on our own money, like, basically using our credit cards. And even Chungo was telling me, like, even those trips we went on and we spent money on those trips, and we basically used our credit cards because we thought it was our honor to be able to go with her. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's our honor. Oh, this is for the, this is such an honor that we're able to do this. It's such an honor that we can go to this place with her, right? And here, all the people around her are like using their credit cards and like are in debt. And she's like behind the scenes, legit taking in, like it comes down to like thousands per day. Like, we're looking at in the millions, like the total money is like in the millions, like millions upon millions that was taken kind of thing. It's just so scary that she could do these things. And being able to stand on the pulpit, she must not be afraid of God. Like that, we're just, I'm venting and ranting a little bit right now, but in a very calm manner, because it's really shocking how far it really went, right? And like I said, none of us knew. Like you guys didn't know, we didn't know, like we know, and I think I got to hear these stories while I'm on this trip. But, part of the reason is we're in the foreign country, so we don't get to hear everything. And of course, all the news and such and all the stuff coming up on the internet, it's all in Korean. So that's why we don't really understand or know what's going on. So when I was hearing these stories, like the verified stuff, like, wow, it was crazy. Yeah. And, right now I'm just telling you about the money issues. But remember we were talking when Sunseem hinted in the message about her opposite sex problems and stuff. And this was something that was quite known for a while, right? So some people already knew what was going on, right? And like I said, this sounds like I'm gossiping, but I'm just doing verified stuff. But I'm just trying to give you the full situation of how bad it really got, right? And like there's this one incident of a member who works for a water cooler. In Korea, they have these machines that give you clean water and stuff. And they called this like the water cooler incident. And this is like a member works for a water cooler company. And, people have these water coolers, and then once every 3 months or so, someone comes in to change the filters and stuff like that too. Like that's what happens, right? So what actually happened was, this member went to El Jung's house. El Jung didn't know that this person was a member, and this member didn't know El Jung either, right? So, and then lo and behold, she was there. He was there in the house with KJS, right? And that's kind of when things were starting, and this is something that happened with a member, right? So, yeah. And the thing that made it worse was El Jung's response, because we know KJS's hair is long and colored, right? Lilja made it worse by saying, "Oh, it was KJS's older sister." But we all know, everyone knows that KJS's older sister has short hair and it's black. It's never been colored and it's never long, and that's why it got even worse, right? So it's just there's all these things that come out, right? And like I don't want to turn this into a gossip show because that's one thing we don't. We only want things that are verified, but these are things that are already out in the open. We just don't know because we're in the foreign countries. We just didn't know how bad it really was. And when the thing, this is one of the interesting parts. One of the most interesting parts right now is just hearing all these things makes me even more confident in Sunsim. Now, how so? Because remember, everyone's believing. Everyone is so shocked because it's KJS. Right? It was Joan. It was the person. They restored Eve. It was that person kind of thing, right? That person was the one, right? That was supposed to be, representing the brides and stuff like that too. And because she said, remember, she's the one that said that Sunsim is guilty, and that's why a lot of people were influenced by it, and tons of people left, right? But when you start to hear the real lifestyle she lived, you can't believe anything she says anymore. You know what I mean? Like in the past, because we only knew her as this great figure in Providence, that when she said something, her words had weight. Her words meant something. We're like, oh my gosh, could it be true? How could AJ leave? Like it had weight. But when you hear what her real lifestyle was, what was actually happening behind the scenes, going to having multiple properties, multiple cars, tons of money coming in every single month, right? Then you get to realize a little bit different, like, whoa. This is how she's living? And then you realize that what she's saying has no merit anymore. What she says doesn't mean anything anymore. That now, like, oh, everything she said means absolutely nothing to me. It's just false to me. You see her motives. You see how wicked she is. And she was living that type of lifestyle. And it's like, wow, that's the way she was doing it. And, we were just like, it made me more confident because I'm like going, wow. Like, I'll tell you even this, even the other people, like the other older male face stars that are like on her side and stuff, like there's evidence already like of them taking the face star fund for the guys, and it's something close to like $200,000. So think about it this way. If they have good intent, all right, think about this. If the intent is good, then you wouldn't be doing those types of things like stealing money and stuff like that, right? If the intent was good, if they really had, like, think about it. If their heart was super genuine and they really, really wanted to get down to the bottom of this, the genuine heart would mean that they would do things properly, right? Take it to court, or even the life that they live. Like they wouldn't start going into like smoking and drinking and opposite sex and stuff like this, or just, like that doesn't make any sense. Because if you're really someone who loves God, someone who really, really loves Jesus, and you want to get down to the absolute truth, you don't lose your faith and you don't lose the life of like the righteous life you always lived before. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a right way to do things. And if you do it that way where you're like, oh, okay, well, this history is wrong. But if then you still believe in God, you still love Jesus, why would you change your lifestyle to like a totally worldly lifestyle? Right? So it makes me even more confident, because why would I believe anything that this person says? Why would you? Could you? And the answer is no way. Why? I wouldn't believe anything someone like that says. It'd be the last thing that I thought about. Right? So, we were just, we were talking about the good old times, and we're talking about all the things we did in the past. And like when we first had the Lord's Church at the very, very beginning, and we all sat down together at a restaurant and we're like, yes, we're going to evangelize. We're going to make sure this happens. We're going to make sure this becomes like the church that Sunsim is so proud of. Like we were like telling her all these things before in the past. Right. And now like, we're kind of looking back, like we had such great memories and we thought it was such an honor, but it turned into like trash, like garbage. You know what I mean? Like, even though like I would still say that God will definitely receive that as us giving glory and us doing things the right way, because we didn't do it knowing that all these bad things were happening, right? But it just makes the memory so sour, right? So many people were suffering around her financially and stuff, but going on trips and living luxury and stuff like that too. So that that made a ton of people upset when they heard this, right? And there's this type of thing, like when you guys hear the things I just said, I think some of us are getting angry and some of us are getting very shocked. But I think one thing that's the saddest thing that, like, people are saying that, oh, it's like Judas Iscariot. I would say it's far worse. I would say far worse. And people say, why would it be far worse? Because it's the same thing, it's betrayal. But it's not like Judas was taking like hundreds or thousands of people out. Do you know what I mean? There's a complete difference. Like Judas did it himself. He got his 20 pieces of 30 pieces of silver, whatever it was. And then after he realized he was wrong, he hung himself, right? This was like, no, take out as many people as possible. So, and on top of it, there's like psychological damage. Like, think about this. How many people do you think are scarred by this? What happened this year? Especially those that are close. Especially those, like, say, in the superstar services. Especially those that were close to her running hard. Like, Chugo was telling me stories of these people who are, that didn't agree with KJS and don't follow her, anything else like that. And when they go to visit a church, they won't allow them in. Tell me that's crazy. But I understand, right? Don't you think it's kind of understandable because how crazy the situation is? No one knows whose side it is. Like, we need to understand both sides. But think about it. There's like innocent bystanders who didn't follow, who are not together with KJS. They're not. But they were close. They were always working with her. But now, they're not accepted. I thought was even worse? Like, what's even crazier? Imagine her family. Like, she has really, she has like a lot of family in Providence. Like, are they, like, imagine some of them want to stay. Who would accept them? You know what I mean? It's so crazy. Like, I look at this situation that it's so bad because people are traumatized or scarred. And some people will be afraid to run again. Some people will probably not want to take any position in leadership because they're so jaded by what just happened, right? Like even like I heard especially a lot of the kids that joined the superstar service. Like, can you imagine the betrayal they feel where they had someone who had their back, who was always with them and stuff like that? They're trying to make things better and more fun for these kids. But instead turns out to be a fraud. And what makes it even crazier is, this is a religious setting. The trauma is even more fierce, right? It's way more fierce. It affects so many people, right? Like, think about all the people that ran hard around her that stayed. They did it because they really loved the Lord. They naturally suffer because of the collective sin, even though they didn't do anything, even though they cut it off. Right? It's so naturally people will not trust them because they were close to KJS. And just like you guys here, like, we're all on this podcast, so we have a better idea. But, like I was telling you all the rumors, everyone thought I was on KJS's side. Everyone thought that I left. Like, I'll tell you, even in Korea, when I go to Warmingdong, people are surprised to see me. And they just keep saying to me, they're so thankful that I'm still here. But I think it's a little bit easier for me because I'm a foreigner, right? But can you imagine if you're someone in Korea, your face is always next to her and stuff like that too, right? They're just naturally rejected. And I was talking to Chungo too. It's just really sad because a lot of those people who are still there, like still here, they have to, they have to do their faith alone, in hiding, just kind of not showing their face because there's so many rumors out there, so many things. But And, when you hear all this, you're like going, oh my gosh, it's that bad. But, there's a lot of inspiring things too. Like one thing that is super inspiring that we were all talking about is even though we were close, how did we still remain? And we were totally testifying about how God protected us. Like, remember for me, I told you guys suddenly, like in end of November, I was like, I'm going to go to Malaysia. And then I completely missed the craziness in America, in Canada, in Korea. I was in Malaysia where it's nice and quiet. It was such a blessing. Chungo was the same. Like Chungo was deep in that group too. And crazy part is they never called him once. Right? And he said that while they never called him, but they were having all these small meetings everywhere trying to get people on their side, try to see whose side everyone's on. And eventually, he just escaped into hiding. Right? It's almost like these people who are close but still on Sunsim's side. It's like they went into a bunker or like a bomb shelter to avoid all the craziness. And then now they're slowly coming out just to see how big the disaster and damage is. And, when you kind of look out and you see all the damage, you're kind of like, ooh, maybe I should go back in. Like they're going back into the bomb shelter kind of thing. But yeah, it was great to sit down just with the people we ran together with and loved. And, and we're like, yeah, we need to have a small reunion with all those people together who were together for so long running together. And, but we also talked about having no regrets. Like, even for us, we only know now that, she was financially great and stuff like that too. And we were suffering financially before. However, we were never complaining because we just thought it was our honor that we could go and do these things with her, right? Right? And we didn't do it for terrible reasons either. So we were like, no regrets. And we know that God will pay us back according to what we've done. And we're happy. We're fine with that too. But it was just a very, think about it. That's, I've been, so I have been going on pretty long, but it's just, yeah. It's really amazing. It's not amazing. It's kind of scary because it's all about money and the opposite sex, right? Like those are the two big things, money and the opposite sex. And it's always been like this. So if we were to go all the way back to the past, there's many, many big leaders who are at the top of province, like the president of CGM, stuff like that. So many fell because of money and opposite sex. But then it really comes down to something even bigger than the two combined, which is power. Because think about it. If it's just about money, then you can just steal money and stuff like that too. It's completely different. But it doesn't feel good. Opposite sex, you could just pay for it, right? You could. If you just want opposite sex, then you could just pay for it, right? So those things alone cannot be it. There's something bigger than that. And what Sunsim said in the past is the biggest temptation is power. Because when you have power and authority, this is when all of this comes together, right? You have this sense of power, like God. You become literally the hubris, where people think that they're like God. Think about when you have the power, like what KJS had, right? People constantly giving you money. Like they were saying that, every Sunday she's doing counseling. The people would come in with like bags of money, not bags of money, obviously like that, but they would come in and have like gifts of money ready and stuff like that too. You have this power, so people give you money because they highly respect you, right? They give you this money because they feel that you're really doing something great for them. And then the opposite sex, what happens when you have power? The opposite sex will throw themselves at you when you have that much power. Right? Like that's why when you see a regular person, no one's going to pay attention. But when they become like this multi-millionaire because they're a pro athlete, it doesn't matter how good looking or how ugly you are. People just throw themselves at you because you have this power. Right? There's just this different thirst that is bigger than all things, which is this power that contains everything. You get anything you want. It comes from power. Right? And it kind of makes you think twice about taking a powerful position, right? Because you've seen what it can do. Just not wanting to have that type of power because that temptation becomes that big and that huge. But I think it's healthy to have that before you go into a higher position. Why? Because that fear, having that fear, it keeps you humble. Having that fear keeps you relying on God. Having that fear makes you think, stay humble and trust and rely only on God. And I think that's a good, healthy way for us to get into these new positions, right? Because even for me, I was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to go so deep into this. I don't want to be that high a leader, right? It's a really hard lesson to learn what we've gone through. But it's also really important for us to see this happen, what really literally happens. It does, right? And now that we've seen it, it's very, very easy for us to catch the signs, not to be so naive, that this is possible with everyone, right? And we don't ever want it to happen again. We want to be those that reach a new level. And sometimes that means that we're going to hit really, really bad situations, and we need to learn from those situations. Like, we all wish this never happened. We are all shocked by what happened too. But we will be better from it, because this shock will remain, and we will move forward with this as a lesson for the future, right? And like I said, it happened multiple times before. It's either money or the opposite sex, right? And we need to be those seeing how bad it really gets. And we need to know that we have to have that mentality that we never, ever want to go through this again, right? And we need to have those really, really good checks and balances and stuff like that too. All right? So there it is, guys. Yeah, that's, you guys can forgive me for that kind of half rant and half venting. But, I think I did it without like being too emotional, because that's the last thing I wanted to do was do it like that. So, yeah, quite interesting. But yeah, I'm sure that you guys have a ton of thoughts, and you guys are probably shocked by some of the things I did talk about, or the things that the new things that were revealed and stuff like that too. Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm super, super shocked. Like, the amount of money that would be coming in. Just going to tour one region, the amount tens of thousands would come in, right? Every time. And, people gave the money with the Thanksgiving gratitude, right? But I think it's something that, there was no checks and balances for anything. Zero. So, And remember, on top of that, her salary at the Whitestone Church was like $10,000 US a month. Like, that's a lot. Like, how many other head leaders were having that job? Zero, right? So, yeah, a lot to process, a lot to digest. But I hope it's something that you guys can really, really think deeply about too. And you guys, aren't you guys getting into deeper thought right now? Like, wow, I can't believe that. That's crazy. It's true, right? It's like, whoa, I can't believe it was that bad, right? And like I said, I was so naive. Like, me and the Chungo, we're like, man, we never saw it. Even though when you look back now, you could totally see it. But yeah. Either way, yeah. Are we going to go? I feel like it's so it's so wrong to go into our first break on that note where we're thinking very, very like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't even know what to add now to make the mood lighter. Like, oh, hey, guys, I had good Thai food last night. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play volleyball on Saturday. Yay. Like, I don't know what to say. So, you know what? Let's just move forward. And with this heavy heart, I'm going to play a very, very upbeat song anyways. Okay? So let's move into the first break of the day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
Put your hands in the sky if you feel alive. All the stories that we made, just you and I. Never losing all the passion. All this love is my obsession. Oh my gosh, this feeling got me heat stroke. His love like a billion pots about to heat though. I ain't never breaking from this bond, cause you and I are only one.
If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with?
Who you with?
If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with?
Who you with?
You 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord all day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. You 함께
life. Don't worry about a thing, you know it's only some in life. We sing about memory stories that we share. We'll fall deeper in love as we stop and just stare. My eyes only on you, they sparkle with love. Don't forget my charm too. There will never be another. Live this life only for you. I give you this promise that I will hold true.
If you are living with the Lord, then who you with?
Who you with?
If you are living with the Lord, then who you with?
Who you with?
주와 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. 주와 함께 together with the Lord all day, all day. 주와 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. 주와 함께 together with the Lord all day, all day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
All right, so that was a very, very long first segment, but I think that will be the longest of all these things. But we only have one question for this Q&A Thursday, and this one's gonna be pretty short, anyways. So we got two things we're looking for. We're gonna have Q&A. We're just gonna have one question, and then we'll go to our second break, and then we will have our member testimony. So we have a great testimony from Germany, and I hope that you guys will really enjoy this. It's a testimony about one of our members running a marathon, right? So you guys will get into that, but I'll make sure that we'll introduce that when that time comes. So let's get into today's question, which talks about the importance of choir. Like, why is choir? Like, what is choir? Why is it so important, right? So let me go into the education that I learned when it came to choir itself. Okay, so choir is considered, the way Sunstein put it, is it's one of the most essential parts of service, okay? So, the most important part of the service is the delivering of the word, right? But that's from God's end, okay? The first three parts that are our responsibility for giving glory to God, worshiping God, has to do three parts. Okay, so the first stage of us worshiping and giving glory is praise. And then the second stage, really, really big thing that we prepare is representative prayer. So those of you guys don't know, representative prayer is that big. It's huge, right? It is the second stage of our giving glory and worship to God, right? Which prepares us for the service. And it basically sets a condition so that the word can come out and just set us on fire kind of thing, right? So remember, first stage is praise, so that's important. Second stage is going to be the representative prayer. And the third stage, right before the word comes out, is the choir, okay? These three things must be absolutely fully prepared, right? And it prepares the congregation, and it kind of opens the gates of the heavens so that the grace of the word can flow down. Right? So those are the three stages, and choir is the big thing that's comes out at the end, right? The third stage, right before the word, it kind of that waterfall of grace, it kind of has to inspire God. Then the gates of the heavens open, and then we're pouring out the word onto us, okay? So we have to understand it's one of the three most essential parts, right? It's so big that, for instance, if you don't have enough people to make a choir, we make the whole congregation stand and do the choir together to sing to the heavens, to open up the gates, right? So the grace of the word can come down upon us here, right? So think about it. It's the last stage, right before the word. It's when we give glory the most beautiful and majestic way. And God gets so inspired that the gates of heaven begin to open and the word begins to pour out. The choir is the representative of the entire church before the heavens, right? And one thing that Sunstein said was, Sunday service is not a service. It is more of a celebration between us and God, right? Just think about this. Remember, the Old Testament's 4,000 years, New Testament's 2,000, and Complete Testament's 1,000, which is a week. Monday to Thursday is the Old Testament, which is the work week. Friday and Saturday are the weekend, and Sunday is the Sabbath. Sunday is the day of rest, where it's just between us and God. But when you look at the full history, it's the 1,000-year wedding banquet, which means that every Sunday is the wedding banquet. It's the celebration we have together with God. right? The entire church comes before the heavens. We do this celebration of a service together with us and God. And it's such an essential part of the Sunday service, right? So when people understand how big it really is, then they're going to be able to, this is why we do, we have the choir. And yeah, sometimes we don't have enough people and we use the entire congregation together. That's, when you do it there. But I really, really hope it's something that all of us can understand. And that's why before, when Sunsi was talking about this, he at the beginning wanted these choirs to be grand and majestic, right? And that's why even when we had it in the Lord's church, it was like 200 people in the choir. It was just so grand, right? And that's something that we could say was, one of our pride of service was the choir. At one point, it was the choir that was the biggest prides that we had for our Sunday service. But yeah, so I hope that makes sense to you guys. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah, that is today's Q&A about the Sunday service choir and how important what the purpose of it is. Okay, remember, it is royal, majestic. It is beautiful. And that's why everyone's wearing their robes and stuff like that too, because they are the representative of the entire church. They're singing before the heavens. Okay. All right. That was the only question for today, guys. So I hope it's, if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and send them to me as much as you can. All right. So that means, as quickly as this sounds, we're going to move into the second break of the day.
It's 1,000-year history, right? We belong together, you and I. And you're always gonna hold me tight. Whoa, whoa. You're my groom and I am your bride. And my spirit's lifted up so high. It's the wedding banquet of all time. And you'll hear me sing, bridegroom, 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 I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'll hear you say, beautiful bride, I love you. I love you too. I love you. Count the stars in the sky tonight. Let your love lighten up the sky. Countless blessings, how your heart just shines. Whoa, 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 whoa. Promise always to be by your side. Living with you in my daily life. We're a team that you can't deny. Whoa, oh, oh. Bridegroom, 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 I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'll hear you say, beautiful bride, I love you. Love you too. I love you. Now let me say, you, my eternal loving bridegroom. Me, can't help clinging on to you. Me and you, nothing can replace my love for you. Bridegroom, bridegroom, how I love you. Bridegroom, bridegroom, how I love you. Bridegroom, bridegroom, how you love me too. It's 1,000-year history, right? We belong together, you and I. It's the greatest history of all time.
Okay, so let's get into our final segment for this Thursday podcast. And today we have a special testimony instead of sermons in the sky. And this is Lilja over there in Germany. Wonderful testimony about a marathon she ran. So I can't wait to hear this. Hope you guys will really enjoy. Please listen. Everyone, please welcome all the way from Germany. This is Lilja.
Hi there, this is Lilja from Germany. My testimony is about what I've realized while training for and completing the Berlin Marathon on the 24th of September 2023. I talk a bit about why I started running, how I managed to make progress, and how training for the marathon ultimately changed my life of faith. When I came to Providence, I saw that Sansanim was exercising a lot, and he encourages us to exercise continuously, right? I see him as a great example of how your body and mind can stay fit and healthy when you exercise a lot throughout your whole life. But it was very difficult for me to stay motivated to exercise for a long time, whether it was sports or anything else actually. I was good at doing an exhausting task for a short period of time and give it my all, but was unable to complete long-term projects. I knew though that this skill was important. God also does a lot of long-term projects. The whole creation was a long-term project, and the history of Providence is a long-term project too. I wanted to be useful for God and was also disappointed in myself, so I was looking for ways to change. So I thought about starting a running project. When I was at school, we had to run 2 kilometers from time to time, and I hated it. I was sportive, but my strength was sprinting. In longer races, I ran as fast as I could too, so my lungs almost exploded, everything hurt, and it wasn't fun at all. It was torture for me. I did have some periods of time later where I tried out running again, but always quit after a while. But then in March 2020, the pandemic hit Germany, and we had our first lockdown. In my area, we were only allowed to go grocery shopping and to go outside for a walk or for exercising alone. And me, being a happy introvert, I knew what that would mean. I'd stay at home for weeks or months, not meeting anyone, wasting time, eating snacks every day, probably gaining weight and being happy but becoming unhealthy and sluggish. And ultimately, after a while, probably also suffer mentally because of the loneliness. Yes, even introverts like me can get to that point. It might take a while though. So I decided to go for a run every other day, just for a short distance, but I'd have to go outside, breathe in fresh air, and do a quick running workout. I started by just running to the end of my street and back home. That was about 600 meters back and forth only. And first it felt really weird. I thought about my neighbors. Wouldn't they think what I was doing was ridiculous? All the effort of changing into running gear, running for only 5 to 7 minutes and going back home right after. But I quickly overcame these thoughts, went for a short run anyway, and later I was simply proud of completing a small training by myself. After some time, I was running 1 to 3 kilometers regularly, and I started to draw parallels between running outside and my professional life and my life of faith. My runs turn out really different from the way I used to run at school or the way I used to do my responsibilities. My running schedule was flexible and nothing really mattered. I was just outside for my own pleasure, breathing in fresh air, running as long or as short and as fast or as slow as I wanted to. And I was thinking about my everyday life or was having short conversations with God while running. But I knew that I needed to put in some effort if I wanted to stick to this new activity. So I tried to be very honest with myself, to listen to my body and to analyze what I needed to stick to running. Because just becoming disciplined wasn't going to do the trick. I still am not disciplined. I don't work that way. For example, if I get too exhausted, it is really hard for me to motivate myself to run next time. I would postpone it for 1 day, 2 days, then a week, maybe more. So sometimes I ran a shorter distance than I could have in order to feel fit and strong after every run and be very motivated to run again next time. Instead of running every time until the point of exhaustion just to beat my last run, wearing myself out, dreading the next run, and probably quit. And I realized that this was the way I wanted to run in Providence too. Giving my all every day to the point of exhaustion is simply not sustainable for me. It's not fun, and it makes me hate what I do, even though things like prayer are supposed to be a wonderful thing, right? I want to take good care of myself, see what I need in every situation to feel good, to take one step at a time, to build a good constitution in order to get through difficult situations, and to move forward being consistently healthy and motivated spiritually. Because the goal is to reach the end, not to give up or die on the way. What motivates you and what's healthy for you is different from person to person. If one method doesn't work for you, be honest with yourself and try out another method. Be creative and don't think too much about what others may think. People are usually busy with themselves or could need your inspiration too. My methods to stay motivated to run are, for example, doing virtual runs together with other members, collecting medals that have a compelling design as pieces of art, participating in real races near my hometown to enjoy the atmosphere and run together with like-minded people. Sometimes other church members join in, and raising the bar by training for longer races, just to have a new goal. In 2021, I completed my first half marathon. That's about 21 kilometers or 13 miles. I trained for that somewhat disciplined. I didn't complete all the workouts, but having a training plan motivated me to exercise more than I would have without one. So that was a win. I enjoyed running through my hometown during the training, observing the seasons come and go, experiencing different weather conditions. My constitution improved and I completed a half marathon. I'm proud of myself and I don't care about the rest. My goal is not to be the fastest. My goal is to stay healthy and fit, to enjoy the process, and to reach the end. And running to me is a form of self-care too. I'm not reachable when I'm out running. I do take my phone with me because I'm still prone to getting lost trying out different routes from time to time. And I sometimes listen to music or a podcast, but I'm not reading messages or calling people. I treat it like working time. When I'm working, people can't reach me. Same with my workout time. Running frees my mind and I can spend the time thinking, praying, singing, or simply observing my surroundings. Also, I love my body even more now. I feel more beautiful, I feel stronger, and I am more confident. The year 2023 was special for all of us. There were many turbulences in Providence, and I too was caught up in them for a while. Thanks to the Trinity, prayer, and conversations with amazing people in Providence, I overcame, and I am now stronger than ever. And I wanted to do something special as a symbolic act of reaching the end of 2023 and beyond, for myself, and hopefully as a spiritual condition for many members to reach the end too. I had already tried to run the Berlin Marathon in 2021 and 2022, but due to certain circumstances, it didn't work out. In September 2023, I was finally able to run the marathon. 42 kilometers, 26 miles, together with 48,000 runners from more than 150 countries. And a few members came to support me too. It was a long run. Professional athletes finish in a little over 2 hours. I took over 6 hours, but I don't compare myself to them. It was my run, my life, and I had a great time. I wasn't sure if I was able to complete the run. I was scared and unsure before the race. I was also injured for a few weeks right before that, so I couldn't do any of the longer runs of the training plan, but many people prayed for me and gave advice, and since I had been running several times per week for a few years, my body had built a strong basic fitness. And I really wanted to complete it. During the race, I listened to my body what it needed. Water, food, or a walking break. I high-fived many children who were cheering for us along the way, smiled and kept moving forward. And I reached the end. 3.5 years after I started running, in the year of reaching until the end. And I'm so thankful to the Trinity that they let me complete this marathon. I started running in 2020 just for myself, but I ran the marathon to give strength, especially to Sansanim and to other members who struggle in these difficult times as well. I didn't do it for my own ego. Whenever I hear that a Providence member achieved something great in the world, it makes me very happy and I'm so proud of Providence. It gives me confidence. We are all one. We live, love and run in God's history. We are God's beloved brides and we fight through our life until we reach the golden city of heaven. So I also ran for the members I know who have been through a lot of struggles this year or even for a longer period of time. I really wish for Providence to be respected by the world, that nobody laughs about the history or about the men of mission anymore. And I hope that my run gave strength to Jesus and to Sansanim and maybe to you too. There's one more story I wanted to share with you. A few years ago, I went to watch the Berlin Marathon. The runners were passing by a street near the place I lived, and there was this one event helper that caught my attention. He was cheering for each and every passing runner. He was quite tall and had a powerful voice. He was clapping enthusiastically and shouting at the runners constantly as long as I watched. "You're doing great! Keep going! You can do this! Great job! Keep moving! You are all heroes!" And I was very touched by that because I thought, wow, Sansanim is also cheering for us. We are struggling so much and he always supports us and prays for us. But a split second later, I was very ashamed because it struck me that it wasn't us who were running this race and who was struggling so much. It was actually Sansanim, and we were supposed to support him. And I can confirm, having run a marathon myself now, that it's so important to have constant cheering during a race, not by strangers, but by people you know. The Berlin Marathon was on a Sunday morning, so naturally the members who came to cheer for me joined the Sunday service first and were waiting for me at the finish line later. And I was really happy and thankful that they came. So what I'm about to say is no reproach, I don't blame anyone. It's just what I have experienced and realized that day. When I was running the race, while the 42 kilometers, the 26 miles were passing by slowly and I felt tired or hurt at some point, there were times when I wished for nothing more than seeing a church member, a friend or a family member to show up and call my name to cheer me on. Even just a smile of someone I love would have given me so much energy. I wanted to reach the end anyway. It was no motivation for me to have people waiting for me at the finish line. It would have made the long run so much easier to endure if people I knew came to me multiple times every 5 kilometers or so and cheer me on. A relative did come to cheer me on at the 30k mark eventually, and I was so happy about it. But during some periods, I really felt alone, even though I enjoyed the race. And it might be that Sansanim feels the same from time to time. I think it's important for us to keep cheering for him through our prayers and our actions, and to keep showing up, staying until the end. There are many more things I could talk about, but that's all for today. I'm planning to run the Berlin Marathon again next year, and I'm hoping there will be some more members maybe running with me. The deadline to apply for the race is on the 16th of November this year, but even if this information reaches you later, or if you're just into running, or love the idea of getting into running too, let's get in touch. There are a lot of activities we can do internationally. There should be my email address in the description or the show notes. Please send me a message. I thank the Trinity for protecting me until today and wish everyone lots of strength and joy running in Providence. Let's reach the end together with the Lord, taking good care of ourselves.
And thank you so much, Lilja, for an awesome testimony on your experience with the Berlin Marathon. And it's really amazing you actually finished it, because I don't think many people have actually ever finished a marathon. I've never done one before either. I haven't even done a half marathon before. But thank you so much for your testimony. I really hope, though, that there are some people who will take the challenge. And it's the 16th right now. So I will leave the email in the description below. So if any of you want to apply for it, go ahead and send her an email. And it'd be awesome if there's someone else who could do it together with her too. All right. So there it is, guys. That is today's Thursday podcast. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Have an amazing, awesome Thursday. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like